Altered item number 46, the pink flamingo. This object is, quote, a plastic pink flamingo lawn ornament. 2 steel prongs extend from its underside, end quote. Details of how it came into the Bureau's possession are unique from the others discussed in these reports. Previously, items came onto the Bureau's radar through various channels. These include, but are not limited to, news reports, internal intelligence, and external sources. Agents would then be tasked in tracking them down and containing them. In this case, the altered items brought directly to the doors of the oldest house. Quote, agents noticed a transient commonly found outside the entrance of the Bureau headquarters would carry the item and loudly claim to be responsible for lack of inclement weather. End quote. Supposition. It is well known that the oldest house cannot be seen by those who are unaware of its existence. The odds of a random individual who is in possession of an altered item and located right outside its doors is astronomical. This transient's behavior seems like someone trying to get the attention of the FBC by proclaiming they can control the weather loudly and repeatedly right outside our front doors. Rather than consider this a coincidence, it is far more likely that this was no happenstance. That this individual was aware of the Bureau itself and was waving an altered item in front of us. Any motivation for this is unknown. After the transient's actions continued for a period of time, Dr. Darling became interested. Agents were placed in street clothes and sent to speak with this individual. Claims were made that the item would, quote, give me clouds when it's hot and sun when it's not, end quote. The pink flamingo's ability to alter weather appears to shift with his need. Later, this person was witnessed performing a ritual over the item which appeared to summon rain. On August 12, 1997, the following day after this event, the transient was taken in and the pink flamingo seized. The research staff performed standard experiments on the flamingo but were unable to elicit any reaction. To date, the transient's claims that this item controls the weather has not been duplicated or confirmed in any way. On top of this, the item does not respond to any identification formula. Interjection. In a paper entitled Altered Speech of AI-14, Dr. Theodore Ashe Jr. mentioned that these formulas had an 82% success rate in evoking a response in the item. While we do not know when this report was written, it is presumed to be long before the 1997 date of containment for the pink flamingo. As such, this 82% success rate likely is higher by the time AI-46 was contained. The odds that there is zero response from the flamingo is low. Supposition. Direct control of the flamingo as witnessed in the rain ritual is something that is more associated with objects of power, not altered items. However, even OOPs act upon their own, which is not observed in the flamingo, so this would not explain the absence of power as soon as it was contained by the Bureau. Every hypothesis I consider is pure speculation and likely not the case. I'll list them here anyway for the record. Hypothesis A. The pink flamingo may be a multi-part altered item such as AI-77 and AI-40, the transient being in possession of the other component, which makes the item work. When the item was contained by the Bureau, they only contained AI-46A and not AI-46B, which remained with the transient. This would have caused the effect to cease as soon as it was contained. Hypothesis B. This artifact was mislabeled by the Bureau as an altered item when it is in fact an OOP bound to the transient. Once contained, the flamingo would not act up as the individual it was bound to is no longer present. This is less likely and would cause rippling ramifications in our understanding of the paranatural world, such as the possibility that either the board is facilitating the binding of OOPs to those other than FBC staff and the director, or that there are other means of binding objects that do not involve the board at all. No evidence has been found to support this. Hypothesis C. The least likely hypothesis is that the paranatural forces which possess this artifact causing its altered status vanished at the point when the FBC contained it. While this has never been observed in any other item, the possibility cannot be overlooked. If something can possess a random object, then there may be some way to, for lack of a better phrase, exercise the object as well. Again, all three of these hypotheses do not seem likely, but I felt the need to list them here anyways. Addendum. After further thought on this item, there is another possibility which I did not consider before. that the Flamingo itself was not altered prior to being influenced by former. The weather can be predicted over the short term. It would be entirely possible for the Transient to pretend to control the weather. If this individual is related to a paracriminal group, it is possible that they did not know the specific location of the oldest house, only the general location. By making a loud claim related to an altered item while using a normal object as a prop, this group would be able to isolate the location of the oldest house. Maybe even witness FBC staff exiting the building to confront these actors. This would allow it to be visible to them from that point forward, as they are now aware of its location. It is feasible that there were multiple individuals making similar claims stationed all over New York in the hopes of determining the FBC's location. In this scenario, this man was the one who got lucky and was approached by agents. Again, if this is true, there would be no altered effect, as the pink flamingo is a normal object. This goes along with the research team's lack of success with duplicating any effect and the lack of response from any identification formulas. It only began to act up once former linked to it. This scenario would imply there are multiple ways for altered items to be created, some of which are a mystery to us. End of addendum. During the Hiss invasion, AI-46 was one of several items to break free of the Panopticon. According to the Behavioral Changes document, the Flamingo was one of 2 items to undergo changes, the other being the Arctic Queen. According to testimony from Director Faden, the Flamingo not only began to act up finally, but exhibited a new effect. Spatial distortions were experienced which would teleport the director away from the object. First-hand accounts confirmed that the entity known as Former was linked to the item. Observation. This situation provides additional evidence that the altered effect of an artifact is not static. Extra-dimensional forces have the power to influence these artifacts. These cases are, albeit, rare and situational. Once Former had its link severed, AI-46 returned back to its inert condition and was returned to the Panopticon. No further outbursts have been observed. Rumination. Determining what is and is not a coincidence can be maddening. Serendipity or synchronicity. Both are a subsect of what we think of as coincidence. A random man who just so happens to be in possession of an altered item, who just so happens to be spending time right in front of the oldest house, and just happens to be screaming loudly that he is in possession of said artifact. Sounds like a big coincidence. But what kind? Serendipity or synchronicity? Fundamentally, they both defy probability. Serendipity would describe this event as a happy accident. No meaning behind the events. The universe threw the dice and the Bureau benefited. The odds for this occurring naturally, however, are insurmountable. Using synchronicity as an approach leads one to believe that this is a meaningful coincidence, not a random one. It would suggest that there's an underlying cause for how the Flamingo ended up where it was. One can infer the presence of unseen webs that govern the Transient's actions. While this may sound like a conspiracy theory, the series of events that led to the Flamingo ending up in the Bureau's possession are infinitesimally low. It almost has to be meaningful. In my last report, we detailed how AI-43, the Guru surfboard, may have been intentionally left in the home of Chester Bless for the FBC to find. Now we have an altered item literally drop itself on our doorstep. What is going on? Is it too much of a leap to suggest that these events are connected? Or is there more than one web? Multiple spiders spinning events, each from a different species. Not all series of events must be connected to one another, but they appear to be connected to something. We don't need any more enemies in here. The eye in the sky that I hide from now, and the red siren sound waiting to rip us all apart are already here. Now the possibility of another wolf, either on the outside looking in or already inside these walls, trapped in here with us. If there were anyone with questionable allegiances masquerading as agents, is it bad to hope that they were dashed upon the rocks by the hiss? At least then one infestation we have here would be taken care of. Knowing our luck, I doubt it. This concludes my report on Screw it.